In the city of Alto Bravio lived Rafael, a 38-year-old man, project manager at a large technology company. Rafael had a serious problem, and he had no idea about it. He just couldn't keep his mouth shut, thinking about getting a new car. He'd tell the whole family before even finalizing the financing, planning to move to a new apartment. He'd call his mom, his cousin, even the neighbor just to hear their opinions. If he had a good business idea, he could barely hold it until the next day. He'd already be telling everyone in the office break room. It was as if he needed to talk about it to feel like something was really happening. But that came at a cost. A cost he only began to understand that day. It was a Wednesday. Rafael had an idea that hit him differently. It came like an arrow in the middle of the afternoon. Sharp, direct, with a strength he hadn't felt in a long time. It was a simple project, but promising. And this time, he felt it in his entire body. This is it. But during the break in the company's kitchenette, he got excited and shared it. There were 3 other co-workers there. And before he could even finish explaining, Eduardo, one of the analysts, said, "Come on, Rafa, there are tons of those already. There was even a guy here at the company who tried it and failed." The room went silent. The other co-workers looked away. Rafael tried to keep his composure, pretended not to care, but inside, something collapsed. It was as if the arrow that had pierced his chest had been ripped out by force. The excitement turned into embarrassment. The certainty became doubt, but he tried to hold on. Pretended he didn't mind, finished the day in silence, typing away at the computer, but his mind was somewhere else. It was only at 6 p.m. when a familiar voice approached from the side of his desk. "Rafa, what are you doing tomorrow night?" It was Marcela, an old colleague. They had worked together years ago, but always kept in touch. They had a beautiful friendship, the kind that withstands time and routine. Rafael answered without thinking. "Nothing. Why?" She hesitated for a second, and then said, with a serious look, "Because I need to talk to you. But it's something we need to talk about outside of here. Want to have dinner at my place tomorrow?" Rafael felt a tightness in his chest. She didn't usually speak like that. There was something in her tone, a weight, a mystery, a quiet urgency. And he knew that this wasn't just a casual invitation. Rafael arrived for dinner at Marcela and Felipe's house exactly at 8 o'clock in the evening. And he just didn't know that after that night, his life would completely change. After a few minutes of light conversation and laughter about old memories, Marcela began to speak. "Rafa, the reason we invited you here today is because there's something that completely changed our lives, and we truly believe it can change yours too." Felipe moved closer to the table and sat down beside her. The two of them seemed in sync. There was no nervousness, no rush. It was as if they were about to share a secret that no one talks about, but everyone needs to hear. Marcela continued, 3 years ago, we went to an international congress on the human mind in the interior of India. We went by chance, but ended up attending a lecture that unlocked something inside us that had been stuck for years. She looked at her husband and Felipe took over. The speaker was Aryan Dev, a renowned scholar who had spent more than 20 years immersed in the teachings of Napoleon Hill, Joe Dispenza, and several ancient Eastern masters. But the way he spoke, it was different. He connected everything with real-life examples in a direct and unforgettable way. Felipe paused and said firmly, his first sentence was, "You talk too much, and that's why you never accomplish anything." The room went silent immediately. Marcela explained, "He started by saying that every time you have a real idea, something that rises from deep within, it didn't come from logic. It came from intuition. It came from your connection to something greater. It's that spark that appears out of nowhere and makes you think, this is it, this is what I have to do." And in that moment, you feel an absurd energy, a pure enthusiasm, a silent certainty that pulses. Felipe then added, "But then, instead of acting, what do most people do? They rush to tell someone, and when they do, they start hearing, 'That already exists. Are you sure it's for you?' Careful not to get disappointed. And when that happens, that inner certainty starts to collapse. You start doubting, and the worst part, you don't even know why." Marcella leaned slightly forward and looked seriously at Rafael. "It's not because people are bad. It's not envy. It's just that your idea is still raw, fragile, and the outside world is full of opinions, doubts, fears, and projections. Your intuition needs silence to gain strength. If you expose it too early, it doesn't have time to grow roots." Felipe then quoted, "Napoleon Hill said, 'Ideas are like newborn babies. If you expose them to the cold too soon, they die.'" And Aryan added something that stayed with us. "You don't talk about what you're going to do. You do it, and let the world
find out
when it's impossible to ignore." Marcella continued, her gaze steady. Joe Dispenza says the same thing in a different way. When you talk too much, you're still trying to convince yourself. But those who truly believe don't need to explain. They just feel, they just do. Staying silent is vibrating in certainty. Talking too much is vibrating in doubt. Felipe then concluded, "Silence is not emptiness, Rafa. It's protection, it's focus, it's maturation, it's respecting the time your seed needs before showing it to the world." Marcella calmly finished, "You've always had great ideas, but every time you shared them too early, you gave away your power to someone who wasn't even part of it, and you lost the strength to keep going. Not because the idea was bad, but because you took it out of the oven before it was ready." Rafael remained silent, but for the first time. It wasn't an awkward silence. It was the silence of someone who had just understood where he had lost himself, and where, maybe, for the first time, he could begin to find himself again. Marcella took a deep breath and continued, "After that trip, we decided to apply everything we had learned. This house, the new car, Felipe's business. No one knew anything until it was done, even my weight loss. I lost 15 kilos, and people only started noticing when the results became visible. And that wasn't a coincidence, Rafa. It was silence that made everything blossom." She looked at him firmly and said, "Yesterday when you talked about your idea at work, I saw it. I saw your excitement die when Eduardo interrupted you. And that's why I brought you here today. Because your idea was good. It just needed one thing. You hadn't learned yet, to stay silent while it grows." After that night, Rafael decided to apply in silence everything he had just heard. In less than 6 months, his life had completely changed. He went back to training with total focus, brought to life the business model he had always dreamed of without telling anyone, and for the first time, a relationship actually worked. He quit the company where he felt stuck, started taking better care of his diet, and even his weekends began to feel more peaceful. It was as if, from that moment on, his energy was always aligned with something good, light, and right, and he never forgot the phrase that became the compass of his life. Talking is vibrating in lack. Staying silent is vibrating in certainty. I hope you take the lesson from this story into your own life, and that still in this year of 2025, you find the courage to be silent, trust the unseen, and completely transform your reality. Sometimes, what's missing isn't effort or strength or luck. It's just silence. Silence to listen to your intuition. Silence to protect what is still being born. Silence to not give up before it's time. Don't forget, ideas need silence to grow roots. Speaking too soon drains their strength. Seeking too much approval is vibrating in doubt. As we learned from Joe Dispenza, talking is vibrating in lack. Staying silent is vibrating in certainty. So trust more in what's already inside you, and let the world see it only when it becomes impossible to ignore. If this story touched you, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, you'll always find stories that warm the soul and awaken truths that have been sleeping inside you. See you in the next video.